Okay. Alright, in this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to set up your Maya 3D model for turntable batch rendering. Okay, so once you're done with modeling your vehicles, you are expected to join the two halves together. Okay, and also, it's a good idea to parent all of them to a locator. So you can see in the outliner here, I've already parented all the components of my car onto this locator. This just makes it easier to select all of them at the same time. Okay, so just go ahead and select all the components and put them under one locator so that you can select and rotate them. Okay, the other thing you need to do is we need to set up a new camera. So go ahead and create a new camera. Okay, reposition your camera, go to perspective and choose your new camera. Reposition the new camera to the location that you like. I'm also going to change this backdrop. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this backdrop. I'm going to create a brand new one and get rid of this model here. I'm going to create a polyplane, scale it up. Okay, reduce the number of divisions. I don't really need that much. Maybe I'll just add. You scale it as big as you can and go right ahead in edge mode. Insert a couple of edge loops. And just grab and pull one of the edges up like that. I'm going to create this curved backdrop. Looking like this. So if you press number 3, you have this curved backdrop sort of like in a car showroom. Okay, I'm going to push this back a little bit so that the floor is matching the level of the tires. I'm going to also rotate this slightly. Okay, so while the camera is still selected, go to View, Camera Settings, turn on your film gate, turn on your resolution gate. Okay, so this will show you what is actually being rendered. Okay, you might want to turn on Save Action and Save Title as well. Okay. You want to avoid having the model touching the Save Action area. You want the 3D model to be encompassed within this frame. Okay, so once we've done all that, now we need to set up the animation settings. So go to Windows, Settings and Preferences, Okay, click on the settings just above animation here. Right, make sure you change, instead of film, change it to PAL. Okay, we want to render at 25 frames per second. And the under the animation, okay, not this one, the animation playback, which is at the, let's save this, right at the bottom here. Okay, change it, make sure the playback is at real time, playback speed, real time, 25 frames per second. And save. Okay, set your frame range from frame 1 to frame 200. Okay, make sure you change this value to 200 as well. All right, so we will be animating this car to turn around at 200 frames. So go ahead and click on Locator. Okay, once you're happy with the framing, you can lock the camera. But before we lock the camera, we want to animate the rotation of the car first and see whether it fits within the frame. So select the locator. Go under the rotate Y in the channel box, right mouse click and key selected. You'll notice on the timeline itself there's a key indicator. Scrub the timeline all the way to frame 200. Under the rotate Y, change it to 360. Press enter. Right mouse click on the text, rotate Y and key selected. You know that now this entire bar has changed to red. And when I scrub the timeline, you'll notice that the car is rotating 360 degrees. Okay, my floor plane still looks a little bit too high there for a second. Okay, I think I have to deselect it. It looks fine now. Okay, so it's a good idea to just scrub the timeline and check and make sure that none of your vehicle clips the action save frame. You want to ensure that your car rotates within the box. So I'm going to adjust the framing a little bit to make sure that it stays in the center. So once you're happy with this, select the camera, go over to the top right hand corner under view, click on view, and then click on select camera. So once the camera is selected, you can go ahead and freeze the values, all the transform values. Right mouse click. Okay, first you select, shift select all the transform values, right mouse click, and then lock selected. Okay. You do not want to select or move the camera at this point. So once you're ready, you can start to render. Okay, of course, make sure this one is an error here. The projection for these doors for the logo will have to be reprojected. And now you're ready to set up the rendering. So let's go to the render settings, which is here. Cracker box with the gear. Click on the icon. You give your render, we call this the beauty pass. So I'm going to put the name of the vehicle, underscore, called beauty. Image format, we're going to use PNG. Okay, you can use TGA. Okay, but the TGA for me, the file sizes are a little bit bigger. And renderable camera, make sure you change it to the camera 1, the camera which you have created. Presets, make sure you change it to HD 1080. And since we are rendering an image sequence, we need to make sure that we are not rendering only a single frame. So under the frame and animation extension portion here, make sure you click on the drop-down panel and change it to name underscore hex.ext. Okay, what this means is that this is the name of the file. This is the hex represent the number, and the .ext represent the extension of the image. And you can see now it says that it will render from frame 1 to frame 10, but we want to render up to frame 200. So if you look at the frame range, you can manually change it to frame 1 and then change it to frame 200. If you are rendering over the same folder, or sometimes you're doing a re-render, you can also enable this skip existing frames. Okay. And once you are done, you can close this and then you can save scene. Okay, I'm gonna put another underscore, pass, and then save. So if you are set up properly in your projects, the frame is going to be rendered into your images frames, images folder in your projects folder. So you can render by going to the rendering portion or rendering mode of Maya. Click on render and select batch render. Okay, if you click on the option box here, you can pretty much leave everything as default and you can just go ahead and hit batch render. Okay, since we are rendering mental ray, so mental ray will now start up and it will start to render. Now, how do you monitor the rendering progress? If you go to the lower right hand corner, you can click on this script editor here. And you can see and observe the result here. Right now, the first frame is being rendered 0%, 5%, 10, 15, and so on. So on average, my setup here, my first frame here will take about 2 minutes to render. If you're using environmental lighting, global illumination, and all other rendering settings that will make the render look nicer, the renders can take up to 5 to 10 minutes per frame. So for this one, it's a little bit faster because I'm not using any lighting effects on my render. So you can see the first frame has already been done and it's written into my images folder. So let me go into my images folder and take a look at the first frame. So let's say I can see some issues with my render, okay, and you want to stop the rendering. So how do you do that? option. Click on render, and you can click on cancel batch render. And then this pop-up will say, do you wish to cancel the current render job? Just click yes. So it will stop render, and then you can do your corrections. I'm going to switch to my front view. And I want to see what's the issue here. Okay, one of my car wheels is being clipped. Yeah, I'm adjusting my backdrop so that my my car wheels is no longer clipped. All right, so now I switch back to my camera view, and then I'm going to observe playback again. There's still some clipping here. You might need to move the plane back a little bit more. Okay. And maybe perhaps let's rotate it. Okay, so once I fix my positioning, then you can do the entire rendering all over again. So this is for the beauty pass. Okay, we'll continue in the next demonstration where I'll show you how to render the diffuse pass and also the wireframe pass. And then later we composite them in After Effects.